Now, you've probably walked around downtown and seen that the windows are full of for lease signs. And if you're familiar with the area, you may be thinking to yourself, I could have sworn that sign has been there for like 4 years. If it's not renting out, why don't they just rent it out at a lower price? So at least they'll be making some money instead of none for 4 years. Aren't those downtown spaces prime real estate anyways? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you why that's the case, and it does make sense to some landlords. Hi, my name is Chris Melnick, and I'm a realtor in Halifax, Nova Scotia. But I used to be a commercial real estate agent in Vancouver, BC. Today, I'm going to be answering the question, why commercial real estate spaces can be vacant for years for no apparent reason. First, in the big cities in Canada like Vancouver and Toronto, the traditionally prime retail shopping areas have actually been declining in value in the last 15 plus years. As more people have switched to online shopping and away from traditional brick and mortar, those types of stores make less money, and the businesses can't afford to pay as high rents as they used to. So real market lease prices have been going down, and if rents go down, the value of the building goes down. And landlords don't like this, obviously, so they figured out a very clever and legal way to get around this, as they would rather make money than lose it. Here's the scenario. Say a landlord owns a strip mall with 20 units, all the same size, and they rent out for $50,000 per year each. Now, let's say one of the tenants leaves after their lease expires, and now there's a vacant space. Let's also say that the real market rate of that space is only $40,000 per year now. So the landlord is going to be thinking about their options, because if they do lease it out for $40,000 per year, they'll establish the new market value for that building. And as soon as any of the other tenants' lease expires, that's the rate they're going to want to renew at. Now, other tenants could have 3, 5, 8, 12 years, etc. left on their lease. But eventually, if they want to renew, they'll want the market rate. That's $10,000 less than what they're currently paying. So from the landlord's point of view, they're thinking to themselves, well, if I rent out this vacant space for $40,000 per year now, it could end up costing me $190,000 per year down the line. So they'd rather just keep the space empty and list the asking rent at $50,000 per year or higher and claim that that is the market rent. Now, that space could be vacant for years, and the landlord would be fine with it. Or maybe they'll get lucky and someone really wants that space and is willing to pay the $50,000 per year. But losing $40,000 per year is better than losing $190,000 per year. Now, the other reason is the appraised value. This is important because landlords are often very leveraged, meaning they borrow a lot of money to buy properties, and a key part of borrowing is having equity. So they want their buildings to appraise at a very high price. And because the price of an investment property is based on how much income per year it's able to generate, including future projections, they need to make it appear that rents are either stable or increasing. If an appraiser got wind that the latest units were renting out 20% less than what they previously were, they could think that the rest of the units will follow suit, and the value of the entire building could be reduced by 20%. So if that building was worth $20 million with $16 million owed on it, and now the appraiser reappraises the value of that building for $16 million, all of the equity in that building is wiped out, and the landlord has effectively lost $4 million in value. And reducing the equity in the building would also make it harder to borrow against for other purchases. This is why landlords are very keen to keep rents high, especially in markets where real market rents are declining, like retail and office in big cities. They often offer some very good incentives too when signing up a new tenant, like 6 months of free rent, or a $50,000 tenant improvement budget for the tenant's renovations. Because even though that would technically reduce the effective income for the landlord, It also effectively lowers the rent for the tenant without lowering the real rent number, which is a big concern for the landlord because of the reasons I previously mentioned. So hopefully you've learned something today, as now you know why retail spaces or office can be vacant for years, because it's a strategic choice by the landlord. But this really only applies to bigger landlords, because if someone has a small building that can only accommodate one tenant, but is vacant, they likely won't want to keep it vacant too long because they actually need the money to pay bills. They can't rely on other units to make up for it. And even though this whole video was about commercial real estate, which I don't do anymore, if you're interested in buying or selling a residential home, feel free to contact me. My contact information is in the description. Goodbye.